So you've probably heard the name Ethereum, right? And maybe, just maybe, you've thought of it as just another crypto, kind of like Bitcoin 2.0. But what if I told you it's less like digital cash and way more like a global computer that anyone, and I mean anyone, can use to build the future of the internet? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to unpack exactly what that means. Here's our game plan. First, we'll get right to the heart of what Ethereum actually is and how its blockchain works. Then, we're going to switch gears to the practical stuff, how you can get and store ETH safely. After that, we'll cover some really smart strategies for handling the risks, and we'll wrap it all up by looking at what's on the horizon for this incredible technology.
All right, let's dive into part one. What is Ethereum? To really get the big idea here, we need to ask ourselves one simple question.
Is this whole blockchain thing just for creating digital money? For a long time, with Bitcoin leading their charge, the answer kind of seemed like yes. But then Ethereum came along and completely changed the game.
And this table right here shows you exactly why. Just look at that purpose row. Bitcoin's purpose is pretty straightforward. It's a digital currency. Its blockchain is basically a super secure ledger that just keeps track of who paid who. But Ethereum, well, its purpose is to be a platform for things called smart contracts and DApps, that's short for decentralized applications. So its blockchain doesn't just store transactions, it actually runs programs. And that right there is the absolute game changer.
So, here's the key takeaway, the big idea you need to hold on to. It helps to think of Ethereum not just as money, but as one single massive global computer that isn't owned or controlled by any one person or company. Anyone can tap into it to build and run applications. And because it's this programmable platform, a whole incredible ecosystem has just exploded around it. Sure, people invest in its currency, Ether or ETH, but the real magic is what you can build. You can use it for smart contracts that automatically handle agreements. You can use what are called decentralized apps, or DApps, and it's created this whole new universe of decentralized finance, or DeFi, that lets you do things like borrow, lend, and earn interest, all without needing a traditional bank. This is totally revolutionary because it's all about making finance open and accessible to literally anyone with an internet connection.
Okay, moving on to part two, how the blockchain works. Let's pop the hood and see what makes this global computer actually tick.
The secret sauce here is something called a smart contract. You know, the best way to think about it is like a super smart vending machine. With a regular vending machine, you put in your money, you press a button, and the machine automatically gives you your snack. No cashier needed. A smart contract does the exact same thing, but with digital stuff and agreements. It's just a piece of code that automatically runs when certain conditions are met. And because it lives on the blockchain, its rules are totally transparent and nobody can go in and mess with it.
And this opens up some incredible possibilities. For instance, a smart contract could automatically pay a freelancer the second their work is approved, no waiting for invoices. These contracts can run an entire lending platform without a single bank employee. They can even be used as a foundation for other projects to launch their very own digital tokens, all running securely on Ethereum's network. Of course, running all these programs on this global computer isn't free. To do anything on the network, you have to pay a little transaction fee called gas. It's kind of like paying for fuel to run your car. The more people using the network at any given time, the more traffic there is, and well, the more it's going to cost in gas to get your transaction processed quickly.
Okay, so that's the theory. Let's get practical. How do you actually get your hands on some ETH? And more importantly, where do you keep it safe?
You know, buying ETH is actually pretty simple these days. You start by signing up on a trusted exchange, and you'll have to do a quick verification process called KYC. That's Know Your Customer. Once you're approved, you deposit some funds. From there, it's as easy as picking Ethereum and hitting buy. And there's a great piece of advice here on the slide for anyone just starting out. Begin with a really small amount first. Just get a feel for the process before you decide to invest more.
Now, once you own some ETH, keeping it safe is absolutely critical. You've got two main choices. Hot wallets are connected to the internet. Think of this like the cash you keep in your pocket. It's convenient for quick access, but also more vulnerable. Cold wallets are totally offline. This is like your savings account or a safe. They're incredibly secure from hackers, but a bit less convenient for everyday use. So what's the best practice? Easy. Use a hot wallet for small amounts you might trade with and a cold wallet for your long-term savings. And speaking of security, here are the absolute golden rules. Rule number 1, your seed phrase, that list of 12 or 24 words that's your master password, you need to write it down on paper and store it somewhere safe offline, not on your computer. And never, ever, ever share it with anyone.
For any serious amount, you're going to want a hardware wallet, which is a type of cold wallet, and always use two-factor authentication on your exchange accounts. It's a simple step that adds a huge layer of protection.
Okay, so getting involved with Ethereum also means understanding the risks. But don't worry, there are some well-known strategies that can help you navigate this market a lot more wisely.
The biggest risk you're going to hear about is volatility. Prices can, and they absolutely do, swing wildly. So the number one rule of this space is simple but powerful. Only invest what you are genuinely prepared to lose. This isn't about being scared. It's just about being smart.
So how do you deal with that volatility? Well, here are 3 really popular strategies. The first is HODL. It's crypto slang for hold on for dear life. Basically, it's a long-term strategy where you just ignore all the short-term ups and downs. Second is dollar cost averaging, or DCA. This is where you invest a small fixed amount on a regular schedule, say every week or month. By doing that, you average out your purchase price over time, which really helps smooth out those wild price swings. And last but not least, avoid FOMO, the fear of missing out. Make your decisions based on solid research, not because a bunch of people on the internet are panicking or getting overly excited.
So let's wrap things up by looking ahead to part 5. Because honestly, the most exciting part of Ethereum might just be what's still to come.
There are a few massive things driving its future. First, there's a huge network upgrade happening right now to make Ethereum faster, cheaper, and way more energy efficient. Second, we're just seeing explosive growth in DeFi and DApps, which are literally building a whole new digital economy right on top of this platform. And finally, as more people around the world start using it, Ethereum is pioneering brand new forms of digital ownership and finance that are open to everyone.
And all the information we've gone over today, from the core concepts to those practical strategies, is based on the fantastic Ethereum A Beginner's Guide from the War Library. So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. When you combine a global computer, programmable money, and agreements that run themselves, are we actually looking at the foundation for the next version of the internet? It's a really big question and definitely one worth thinking about. Thanks for joining this explainer.